Welcome to the world-renowned Invest in Her podcast with your host, Catherine Gray. Catherine is a keynote and TEDx speaker, author, executive producer of the movie Show Her the Money, also CEO and founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. Our weekly show of powerhouse women, founders, funders, and changemakers is sure to inspire you. Let's go.
Welcome to this week's edition of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation, as well as executive producer of Show Her the Money. And it was at a screening that I met my next guest. She has been 20 years in the financial business, and now she champions women. You know, that's the kind of lady we like to have on this show. So let's bring to the table today my friend, Catherine Dean. Hey, Catherine, how are you?
Hi, Catherine. Good. How are you doing today?
Good, good. I want to talk about, you're with Opal Investments and you started the Women of Opal, right?
Yep. I started OpalWomen, the women's division at Opal.
I love that.
Yeah.
And, here's one thing you and I agree on. With the largest transfer of wealth happening in history for women, women are really looking for advisors that they feel comfortable with. And so I love that you've created this women's division of Opal Wealth, which is all women advisors like yourself, right? And I think that's what women are looking for.
I think so. I think, watching the evolution in the past 20 years and what has happened, I feel women are, number one, collaborating more. I think social media has impacted and been a big part of that. I also think that there are next generations that are creating that real community of women centered, having the conversation, talking about wealth, talking about starting businesses. It's been, for a long time without social media, it really wasn't out there. The conversation wasn't out there. And I feel like now is the time, plus the great wealth transfer. I actually just did a blog about it that, a lot of money is moving hands in the next few years, let's say the next 10 years overall. And if that's from some sort of transition in a relationship, if that, parents are passing, money is moving and women have a huge buying power. And in order for women to continue having that buying power and showing up greatly in the world, it's going to be in this conversation of investing. Because investing, for a long time, we're left out of the conversation. I know you, Catherine, you and I, like your movie, it has been so inspirational. Your movie basically shared what I've been trying to scream from the rooftops for years. And then I got to do a viewing of it back, I think it was in March. And the women were astonished because women don't even realize that only 2% goes to VC. Like there's not enough money going into women's hands to make the impact. But here we are in this pivotal moment where all this money is moving hands, where if this conversation has to be heightened and more women have to be in the rooms. And OpalWomen was truly created because, number one, I saw what was going to happen in the next 15 years. The other part is I wanted to do things differently. I wanted to host events. I wanted women in community. I wanted to host retreats where you could get an intimate group of women together to talk about women and money and impact and all of that. And what you did in a movie is kind of what I'm doing grassroots on my own. So it just so synergistically worked together, I guess, is where I'm going, what I'm saying here.
Yeah, I can imagine that you, having been in this for 20 years and having seen this issue, that when you saw the movie, you were like, oh my God, I can't believe there's finally a movie about this, right? That's kind of what you had expressed to me. And I think a lot of people felt that way. I think women that are fund managers felt that way. Women that are wealth managers like yourself, women that are even investors, and especially the women entrepreneurs who are trying to get the funding. Like, I think there was a palpable excitement in the room, no matter what city we showed our film in. And I think it's because of exactly what you're just saying. For 10 or 20 years, we've all been saying, when is this going to change? When are we going to have some power around this investing thing. And we are now realizing that with this big transfer of wealth, we are in a position to have more power. And I mean power in a way that's positive. There's bad power and there's good power, right? This is a
Agreed.
good power I'm talking about because women can really help transform the world in an amazingly beautiful way. And we've never had the money power to do that. And here we are impacting the majority of the buying decisions, but we haven't been impacting the investment decisions. And I'm so glad now we're out there all talking about that. And like you just said, coming together in groups to help each other. And I'm glad that there are people like you that are out there perpetuating that.
Yeah, and I want to add to what you just said about that is also women bring education back to their communities. Women have a steer towards legacy, philanthropic efforts, and all of that just adds more value into the world, right? And when we're in these conversations, like I've been taught for years, I talked about like women just have to start investing. Like, I don't care what you do, just start investing, right? And the shift is happening from investing in stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Now it's investing in alternative investments and making that part of your portfolio. So if you haven't started investing, there's a big learning curve here, right? But if you have started to invest, you want to open the possibilities of there's an evolution going on in my industry. It used to be, I mean, way back when it was stockbrokers were paid for commissions, right? It's so far beyond that, right? So it's gotten to the point that there are so many opportunities that women may be missing out on because they're not being part of these conversations. And money historically has been a very masculine conversation. And here we are making it and bringing it into light that no, there are conversations that women can be having, women can be asking. There's no silly question. We understand that, it can be an intimidating conversation. You just sit in a room once. You don't even need to speak. Just sit in a room and really learn and digest from other women, and you'll see the power of women coming together to invest in other women. It's pretty incredible.
I love that. And, I want to mention not only have you been a financial advisor for 20 years, a super successful career in this, but you're an Amazon best-selling author,
Mm.
a real estate investor, and that you believe in multiple streams of income. So when you're advising people, I imagine that you're telling women you need multiple streams of income, right?
I do. I'm a huge believer in multiple streams of income. I did, thank goodness, grow up in an entrepreneurial household. My parents were both in real estate. But in addition to real estate, they owned some commercial properties. So my mother always had her own thing going on. So I learned firsthand we spoke business around the table constantly. And I was the youngest of three kids. So by the time my brothers were out of the household, I was still there for 6 more years in this conversation. And I mean, a lot of women have side hustles because they want to make ends meet. And unfortunately, sometimes, when you have a lot of expenses or there's a lot of stuff going on, you think you need other forms of income, but it's not always about pushing the envelope and meaning exhausting yourself to do it. There are alternative ways to have multiple streams of income. And it may not just be investing. It might be real estate. It might be other things, and there's not a right fit for everybody. Everybody has their own value system. And I think that's where women need to really get intuitive with themselves. I think we all come with this intuitiveness of what aligns for us, how we feel, what we're willing to invest in, what we're not willing to invest in. And that's okay. There isn't a one size fits all solution. So multiple
Right.
streams of income, I'm a huge believer in.
Right. And so, how do you handle your new clients? Like, what is the process?
Good question. Well, first, I like to have a conversation because I might not be the right fit for everybody, so I have a conversation. I want to know their goals. I want to know what they're looking for. Sometimes I will get a referral and it's from a divorce attorney, and, the person is coming to me because they were never in the financial conversation. They don't even know they don't know what they're doing, or like, meaning, can they budget monthly and all of that? So they need a little more hand holding. I can help with that. But again, if I'm not the right fit or what they're looking for, I will refer them to somebody else. When somebody comes to me and they tell me what their value system is, I want to make sure we're aligned too, because I'm here to support their growth and I want to make sure that I can support them every step of the way. If I'm not, if let's say somebody comes to me and they maybe are only thinking about venture capital funding, well, I'm probably not the right person, but let me introduce you to some people that might be the right fit for you. You know, if they're looking for retirement, like Roth conversions, things like that, tax savvy ways, I'm definitely the right person for you, right? We have a huge population that's only utilizing retirement, like 401ks and things like that. And then sometimes in retirement, they're paying more in taxes. So I need to understand what they're truly looking for to see if I'm the right fit, because I'm not for everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah, I like the way you think. Well, what's the name of your book? I forgot. I meant to ask you that.
Soul Mission. So it was a collaborative book, and people will say to me, what, like you talked about money in that book, that makes zero sense to me. And for me, anybody can truly, if you have a plan in place, I shouldn't say anybody, but a lot of people could retire with a decent amount of retirement assets, right? I know a lot of miserable, very wealthy people because they thought money was the end game. But I feel your life's legacy, your story is really what should drive your financial plan, right? And
100%. I
yeah,
always say your investments actually should be fun,
yeah,
like
exactly.
fun, impactful, uh, your legacy,
Hmm.
all of those things. Like investments are powerful ways to make your impact on the planet.
Agreed. Agreed. And you know, that's why there's a misnomer, I think, and it might be industry wide. Our industry doesn't always get the best rap, right? But it's not just a numbers driven game. It's your life's plan. And I want to help you with your life's plan and help you get to achieve those goals, not just in retirement, but what is important to you now. How can I help you there too? So I appreciate you sharing that, because 100% you should be having fun along the way. This shouldn't be a chore all the time.
And I know you also had created a women's empowerment and coaching organization, Living Your Worth. Tell
I
me a little bit
did.
about that.
I did. So before Opal came about, before Opal Women, similar to what I wanted to do at Opal Women, it was empowering, it was speaking on stages, it was really getting women in the conversation, it was doing retreats. Um, at times I do vision board exercises because a lot of women got so busy, they forgot that they can actually dream and create in life. Like they were just on a hamster wheel.
I'm a
So
big
that's what,
believer in vision boards.
yeah,
I think every woman should have some semblance of a vision board, because how can you know where you're headed if you can't visualize it, right? And and
agreed.
and there is a magic in visualizing it, writing it down, putting it down, not just in your head, but writing it down or putting pictures down actually plants it in your subconscious to actually help you manifest it. And I do
Yeah.
believe that. I've seen
I
that.
love that. So it's funny because because sometimes people like vision boards are hokey, but I'm a true believer. My wife and I do one every single year. It sits up in our house every single year, and we tap into it because it's in front of us all the time. So, but that was really what Living Your Worth Inc. was all about. Because, and then what happened was Opal Women came about, and it kind of shifted into because I will work with 10 women a year to financially coach them. Maybe they don't have the assets, but they're trying to get everything organized and together so they can create wealth. I will work with 10 women a year to do that. So that is really what came about with that, was like, how do we get women together to talk about money? How do we get women together to connect, to build each other's businesses? How do you create that community so that women aren't intimidated in the conversation? Like, obviously you and I are very fluent with the conversation of money. There's no jitters talking about it, right? But there are a lot of women out there that are intimidated to ask the questions because they don't know if they're asking the right questions. Well, just start asking questions and being in the room. So that's what Living Your Worth Inc. was all about, and continues to be, is a movement. It's a movement to have women have like feminine money in this world is going to shift the world. I know it is. In my heart of hearts, I feel it.
I feel that too. And, I often say that the Dalai Lama said the Western women will save the planet. And I do believe that that's true. And it has a lot to do with this big shift of wealth. And one of the things that I feel is so important about our Show Her the Money movie and tour and movement that brought us together is that we have to educate women on things like venture capital and all the other investments because it determines what the future looks like, what products and services we have. And so it's so important that we as women have a say so in that. And that's what it allows us to do. When we're investing in other women, we're investing in the future and what it looks like. And
Agreed
so
with you.
that's a powerful place to be. And we have to welcome that power and, embrace it because we have a job to do. We have to use that money in the right way. We can't just park it in bonds and things like that because first of all, you're not going to make enough money from that. So we have to stop being so worried about taking risks, and we have to use our money for the higher good. So to build wealth, but wealth helps us to support more endeavors that impact the planet. And I also like to say women are really great about putting money into charity, which is great. It's an important thing to do. But we've got to be more cognizant about putting it into like women innovators that tend to be more successful than the average innovator. And so that is an important place for us to put our money as well, that makes just as much or maybe even more of an impact than charity. And yet you could make money from it, but that's okay. You can make an impact and make money. And I think that's something that you and I have in common, that we believe and that we're out there talking about. So, yeah, I really appreciate all you're doing for women and that you've created the Opal Women's Group, and just that you are advising women to really have a financial literacy around, what it is they need to be doing with the money they're either inheriting or, getting from a marriage or building up in a business, certainly from exits. There's all these different ways that women are coming into that money in the coming decade. And great to have people out like you, like out there that can champion them with knowledge and support and cheering them on, right?
Thank you. Yeah, it's actually it's a lot of fun right now because you're seeing a lot of big like people exiting and there's a lot of money shifting hands, and women are they're in like they are smiling about money when I'm in these rooms. And that's from 20 years ago to now, I can't even imagine what the next 10 years. Like I'm excited for the next 10 years to see what
Yeah.
that's going to look like. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And the numbers haven't come out yet for 24, 25, but I think you're going to start seeing the progress because we've seen an acceleration of women investing both in angel investing and in venture capital. So I think we're going to see an acceleration of this getting only that 2%. It will slowly but surely move ahead because if we didn't do anything, it would take 100 years. But I think we're going to accelerate it with this transfer of wealth and what we're doing with it. And that's why it's so important what you and I are doing out there, educating women on what should they be doing with it to make the most impact. Because women really do care. They care about the planet and the future for their children and things like this. And so we're going to be in a position to do more about the things we care about. And how exciting is that?
Exciting. I know. I can't wait to actually see you when you come into the city in a month from now. I'm really excited to see you again because being in
Yeah.
those rooms is where you need to be at.
Absolutely. And so we just saw each other in New York at Live Nation for a screening, and now we're coming back. We have another one in the city August 18th at the City Winery, which is not only a screening, but our book launch. Yep, we have a book coming out called Show Her the Money, Extraordinary Stories of the Women That Help Make the Movie and the Movement Possible. And then also, we're going to see you out in the Hamptons August 20th. We've
Yes.
got a book signing at the Capri Hotel from, I think it's 2 to 4. And then 6 o'clock we'll be over at the theater that you want to fill them in on that, but it's 6 o'clock in
Sure. Yep. It's
Bridgehampton, right?
yep, in Bridgehampton. It's going to be at the hub, and it's going to be networking and a viewing of the movie, and just again bringing women to this conversation. It's not about keeping money in the bank anymore, ladies. It's about deploying it and figuring out something to do differently now.
Absolutely. And we'll have books at that event too. And we can't wait to see everybody in person who can come out, who lives in that area. That's Catherine's neighborhood. You live over in Long Island with your beautiful wife, Mary, and your kids and your dogs, and life is good in New York, right?
Yep, it's perfect. Right. Well, it's a little humid right now, but other than that, we live in a beautiful area. The summers on Long Island are outrageous.
I can't wait to get there. Thanks so much for being a great guest, Catherine. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Let's talk about how we can get a hold of Catherine. Where should they reach out to you?
Oh, okay. So you can always find me on LinkedIn. I pretty much look like this on LinkedIn, but you can also find me on OpalWealthAdvisors.com. We have a whole women's division on there. It'll explain everything about us. And then if you ever want to reach out on any other social, OpalWomen _ on Instagram. Easiest
Perfect.
ways
And
to get a hold
Catherine
of me.
spells her name with a K if you're looking her up on LinkedIn. Of course, you can find me, Catherine Gray, also on LinkedIn, Catherine with a C and Gray with an A. And of course, visit our websites, which is showherthemoneymovie.com to find out about our screenings and book launches all around the country. And of course, sheangelinvestors.com is where we have lots of resources on our multimedia platform. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to tune in today. Catherine, thanks for being a great guest.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Make it a great day, everybody.